The first trucks of petroleum products have been lifted from the Port Harcourt refinery following the coming back on stream of the facility. At least 200 trucks will be loaded for distribution on a daily basis. Arise correspondent Georgina Ezeayinka has details.
The Port Harcourt refinery was last in operation in 2019, and since then there have been several efforts to revive the facility with little success. This led the federal government exporting crude oil meant for refining, grossly affecting the fuel supply in the country, foreign exchange and price stability. In 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved a $1.5 billion contract, that is about 600 billion naira, for the rehabilitation of the refinery at a meeting presided over by the then President Muhammadu Buhari. After several failed deadlines, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited in December 2023 announced the mechanical completion of the refinery. The company says the final commencement of crude oil refining and truck out of petroleum products from the refinery marks a milestone for Nigeria. And the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL took officials and journalists around the revamped facility.
Now with the Dangote Refinery on stream, Port Harcourt Refinery on stream, and we're hoping that Warri comes up and Kaduna and will be net exporter of petroleum products rather than being a net importer.
Country for giving us the opportunity to serve and to see that energy security can be in control of the hands of our countrymen as we continue to grow our capacity in this location and outside.
Truck loading also commenced with several trucks seen standing by.
To be able to start loading our trucks here in Port Harcourt. As you know, one of the key things that we do as NRL is ensuring supply security for the country. And I think it's great to have yet another location where we can load our products day in, day out to service all Nigerians via our retail sites or via our partners in all the different associations.
I'm very happy that it's working, because for we to live here and go to Lagos and load to come back to is a very stressful thing to us. So we are very happy that it's working now.
You know, the capacity of this depot to contribute so immensely to the economic development and sustainability of this country and the community in particular. You can see the community has been here. They've been very peaceful because they've been waiting for this all along. So we're very happy that loading is commencing today.
When asked the reasons for the delay in the restart of the refinery, the Executive Vice President downstream blamed it on unforeseen circumstances, as several repairs of the machines were previously not yielding the desired results.
It's a mechanical environment. It's engineering, and it has to be from one milestone to the other. It's not something that you just jump to it, as it were. So we need to ensure that we did all the necessary compliance in terms of the operation environment, and ensure that we get the best resource. We don't need to repeat a mistake.
Located at Eleme in Port Harcourt, the refinery complex comprises two operational units established in 1965 and 1989, and with a combined installed capacity of 210,000 barrels per day. The older plant has a capacity of 60,000 barrels per stream day, while the newer plant has 150,000 barrels per capacity. Well, trucks have begun loading petroleum products from this spot, which includes petrol, automotive gas, oil or diesel, and household kerosene, while other product slates will be dispatched as soon as possible. The refinery's resumption is expected to further reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported petroleum products and reduce foreign exchange pressures associated with fuel importation. From Port Harcourt Refinery, Georgina Ezeayinka, Arise News.
Thank you, Georgina, for bringing us the report straight from the Port Harcourt refinery. Rufai, optimism, cautious optimism, or no optimism? Well, let me first of all say congratulations to NNPCL, NMDPRA, and all the stakeholders involved. But your take on this story?
Sorry, what are we congratulating for? For a blending? Is that it? Is it for blending? What optimism? Really, I don't see it. Let's get to brass tacks. And I was on top of this story yesterday, big time. I did a lot of work on this story, and the reports are out there. Number one, NNPC, when Femi Falana wrote a letter to say, when will the refinery be ready? The contractor said they did not know the time. All of a sudden, yesterday happened, and I was ambivalent at first, and my doubts came to true when we discovered that it was cracked C5 blended with naphtha that was churned out in gasoline oil. And it's not the first time we've done it. We've done it in 2016, and they've done it a couple of times. They got the cracked C5 of Indorama. But the full refining process, where is that in the mix? Let's go back historically, and it's only just one part of the refinery. There are two refineries there. There's the one that was built by Shell Daisy in 1965. There's the one that was built in 89. That's over 130,000 barrels per day. It was the one of 60,000 barrels per day that they just got to about 70% appreciation work on. And that one will not really be able to go through the whole hog and give you what you really deserve. And that has been the conversation, because when Shell built that refinery in the 60s, it was built to be able to service and get, distillates and other oils to be able to use for their rigs all over the country. So when you see that, and when we put forward that assertion, the NNPC had to now reply and said, actually, it was cracked C5, that's silopentene or your pentene, part of your hydrocarbons, and naphtha that gave that product. My question will be, what's the sustainability of this? And where is the other part that was of the refinery that was built in 89, the over 100,000 barrels, going to start working? Is this also sustainable? If you go and read the literature, you would also see the adverse effect of blending naphtha and cracked C5. I mean, there are many things back and forth. So I will be excited when refining, as it were, starts. And these are the empirical facts out there.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Okay, in the statement that was issued by NNPC Limited yesterday, Femi Shoneye, the spokesperson of NNPC Limited, stated in one of the paragraphs that we should avoid malicious comments that could undermine the achievements of NNPC Limited and also of the Tinubu administration. In other words, he was saying that this is a significant progress and, the Tinubu administration should be commended. That caveat is there. However, he went further to say in that statement that NNPC Limited, through now the Port Harcourt Refinery being operational, will produce 1.4 million liters of petrol per day, 900,000 liters of kerosene daily, 1.5 million liters per day of diesel, low-pulp fuel of about 2.1 million liters. Now, on the surface of it, all of this will look very exciting. Another line in that statement said, okay, the crack C5 is the blending component from Indorama Petrochemicals. Indorama Petrochemicals used to be known as LME Petrochemicals. Now, let's go to the analysis, and it is as follows. The fact that NNPC Limited can come up at all to say that this same refinery that they said was mechanically completed, and then the mechanical completion went all right, and we had to wait for months, for a year, almost a whole year, before they now said something is even happening. At the time, we were told that the refinery does not even have a perimeter fencing, and that some saboteurs attacked the facility. All kinds of excuses were given. Now they say 1.4 million liters per day of petrol. Let's deal with that, which affects us, and forget about LPFO, diesel, kerosene, and all of that. Now, the Dangote refinery, only a few days ago, were saying on this same program, had reached an agreement to produce 28 million liters of petrol, of the highest grade in the whole universe, in the world. What is 1.4 million to 28 million liters? So, in other words, I do not think that a statement by NNPCL is going to, make any significant difference, because 1.4 million is still very small. Number two, at what cost are they going to do that blending? That detail was not provided. Now, is the federal government going to, incur more cost in terms of the blending process. Because when you say we're using crack C5, it means that there's some blending, there will be a component that will be imported. And who is going to be responsible for that cost? That's number 2. Number 3, why I raised the issue about cost is that what is in this for the ordinary Nigerian? Is it going to ensure that we will pay less at the fuel stations? Well, I don't think so. I don't think that will be the meaning. Or does it mean that there will be no fuel scarcity at Christmas? Oh, perhaps. Maybe, we achieve the objective of not having fuel scarcity at Christmas. Now, they said there is a 150,000 barrels per day facility in that same Port Harcourt that is going to come on stream. That's the new one. So is that one also functional? The same way they have said that 70% of the old refinery is functional and that they will ramp it up to 90% within the next 1 year. This old refinery that has been rehabilitated is a refinery that Shell Darcy established as a utility plant. That's the technical word, utility plant, in 1965. Now, this new refinery of 150,000, which can make much better difference, is not been activated. Rufai is insisting, but
they said it in their report.
Okay.
In fact, NNPC confirmed it.
So maybe that is the one that will make the real difference. Well, but they insist that substantial progress has been made, but they have also advised that the commentariat should avoid malicious comments because this is a major achievement for the Tinubu administration, they say.
All right, I think it would be interesting to understand what the term malicious comments are. If you're going to read malicious comments as truth, or people coming out to state the facts, then that's a bit, that's from the NNPC release. But in honesty, I did start by saying congratulations to NNPCL and NMDPRA. And I said this because baby steps from mechanical completion to 70% facility, even though it's not yet producing or working at the point at which Nigerians can really enjoy the benefits of, number one, the amount of money that has been spent and invested in the refineries, and of course, number 2, the amount of time that has been spent in bringing this refinery on stream. A number of the questions that a lot of people would have this morning have been answered already, which is, what would this impact on cost? Would this mean, because like I always say that, for a lot of people who are listening to the news and reading press releases, what Nigerians want to know is, at the end of the day, how does this benefit my pocket? How does it benefit the economy? How is this going to make or alleviate some of the sufferings of the people following some of the reforms of this administration? Of course, this administration will celebrate this as one of their wins. Finally, despite the different administrations that have come and gone and promised that these refineries will work, it is working at some level. For that one, I celebrate. I want to look at it from that perspective this morning. However, in terms of costs for people, it's not going to really bear a lot on costs. It's estimated, the NMDPRA released earlier, mid this year, that Nigerians consume about 30 to 40 million liters of petrol per day. And so if this 60,000 barrels per day producing facility is only able to do 1.4 million liters per day, then it's only a scratch on the surface. It's only just a tip of the iceberg of the needs of Nigerians. But as that truck driver that you saw in that report said, for that axis, maybe to just supply the people of Port Harcourt and some of the South states and prevent them from having to go all the way to Lagos to the Dangote refinery, that's a relief in that sense. The other part is cost. Yesterday, I talked about how if all the refineries are working, then there's better market forces in play in terms of prices, where we have more players in the mix, and then we can actually be able to have competitive pricing. Unfortunately, this is nowhere near enough competition for Dangote refinery for us to begin to see that kind of appreciable reduction, or perhaps comparative pricing in PMS, what we'll go to the pumps to get. But what we'll celebrate is that this is an addition to some of the challenges, addition in the oil sector, particularly for availability of the product, which a lot of people have been talking about. And so any development is welcome. The 600 billion naira contract that Georgina had mentioned in that report has to be justified. I don't know if this would be enough justification for the amount of money that's been pumped into the repair of that refinery or the refurbishment of the refinery, but at least this is a first step. And so this morning, I want to celebrate first steps, baby steps, and then encourage the NMDPRA, NNPC, and hopefully we'll have someone from there come to speak to us about this and explain to Nigerians clearer as to the gains that we're celebrating at the moment. But let's celebrate baby steps and encourage them to bring a full stream on 100% capacity, and most importantly, the new Port Harcourt refinery, which has a capacity to do 150,000 barrels per day, and of course about, I think, 10 million liters in a day, which would then make that significant difference that we're looking forward to.